My name is Amanda Sue Hasley, and my daughter, Ellie Kate, was a patient in the pediatric unit at Mississippi Baptist Medical Center in May of last year. I received a call from my mother-in-law that my 7-month-old Ellie Kate was unresponsive. I was lucky enough that I was able to get her to the emergency room here at Mississippi Baptist, and we were seen very quickly. She was relatively unresponsive. She had her eyes open, but that's all the response that we got from her. The ER team was great. We were able to get seen quickly. We were seen by Dr. Jackson, and he immediately called Dr. Quigley, who was the pediatric hospitalist at the time. So we were admitted to the pediatric floor. Teresa was our nurse that came in. We came in right around shift change. I think it was around 6 or so. So I knew that Teresa wasn't going to be there long. But she was so kind and so compassionate with me. She didn't treat me just like a family member. She treated me like I was just as important as she was. I think she could tell I was really frazzled. You get a call that your kid's unresponsive and your mind goes in 14,000 different directions. And so she was just very calm and very informative and talked me through everything. So after the shift change, Major and Jessica were our nurses, and they were great. They talked through everything. They told me exactly what the plan was. Something that I thought was very special was that when they left, they kind of said, okay, this is our next step. This is what we're going to do next. But they always asked me if I was okay. It wasn't like a punitive, like, are you okay? Do you understand? It was a genuine, caring, okay. I was there by myself. My husband was deployed in Kuwait. So I had to make a phone call that no one ever wants to make, that our child is sick and in the hospital. And it just kind of hit me that I wasn't just another patient. Ellie Kate wasn't just another patient. They treated us like we were their own. And then that next morning, Dr. Quigley came in and saw me and explained everything. And I had my MyChart up and I was looking at all the results, and they can be very scary, especially if you don't know what's going on. And there was just a very drastic difference in the results. And so my mind was going in 100 different directions. And Dr. Quigley came in, she introduced herself, and I was sitting on the couch and Ellie Kate was in the crib just playing. They have some toys on the peds floor, and I think it was a phone, and she was just like picking it up and would stick it on her face, and then she'd put it back down, and she was just having the best time. She was unconcerned. And Dr. Quigley came down, sat next to me, and explained kind of what she felt like our next steps were and our diagnosis. I kept going in my head, like, what could it be? What could happen? And the only thing I could come up with is she had carrots and she had sweet potatoes both times she got sick, but each time it got a little worse. And so I asked Dr. Quigley, I said, do you think it has anything to do with orange food? Like, I'm just pulling at straws. And she kind of looked at me and she said, maybe. As she was talking, I think she could tell I was starting to get real nervous, because you want answers and you want them right now when it's your kid. And she came and sat down with me on the couch. And she took both my hands in her lap, and she said, you did everything right. You did what you were supposed to. I think I just needed to hear it. I can't explain the compassion that I got from everybody on the floor. Like, it's like they just love so well up there with all of their patients. I mean, you can't replicate that. We followed up with her pediatrician, and we kind of went through all of her test results, and she had an x-ray while she was here, and so we covered that. And I just asked, like, what do you think it is? We were told it's this brief, unresponsive event. Like, what does that mean? And he said, I think it might be FPAS. And so I said, what is that? I've never heard of that. And so it's food protein induced enterocolitis syndrome. It is a different type of allergy. We think allergies, we think of anaphylaxis, we think hives, I can't breathe. FPAS is a different immune response to a food. So we were following up with GI, and we were following up with allergy, just to rule things out. All of that came back normal, and we were given the diagnosis of FPAS. So she has 3 trigger foods. We have sweet potatoes, carrots, and white potatoes. So my orange food theory was right on par. We will have to be readmitted to Mississippi Baptist Medical Center Pediatrics to retest for FPAS diagnosis, and I'm very comforted in the fact that, as anxiety-producing as that process will be, that I get to come here. I get to come here and see people that love my child just as their own, and are cared for. So I wouldn't want to go anywhere else.